Hello, everyone, and welcome to the When It Was Cool podcast from whenitwascool.com. Today, I have a special for you that I've pulled from our Patreon archives. Our Patreon supporters get access to about 1,500 back episodes with new episodes added multiple times over the course of a week. So you don't normally get to hear these shows on the free feeds. This is exclusive content. You would need to be at either the $1 or the $5 Patreon support level at whenitwascool.com to hear these shows. So I hope you'll hear this, enjoy it, and come by and see what else we have to offer. Again, we have over 1,500 other podcasts just like the one you're about to hear. This one is from 1950. It's one of those great serialized adventures. Adam Mann, which was kind of a proto Lex Luthor type character, versus Superman. And this predates the old Superman TV series, which we have some shows about that as well. So I hope you'll enjoy this review of Adam Mann versus Superman. And check us out over at whenitwascool.com. We really need an influx of Patreon supporters for this year to get us where we need to be. And I would really appreciate it if you would be one of those. whenitwascool.com.
The When It Was Cool Podcast Network. Retro pop culture. Informative and fun and family friendly. Support us on Patreon at whenitwascool.com.
Hey, everybody, and this is Karl Stern here for whenitwascool.com. This is a Patreon special audio podcast to go along with the article where we've been reviewing these classic, I guess, old school retro superhero movies, superhero serials, just interesting pilot TV shows from the past and stuff like that. And today, last week, actually, we did Superman from 1948, the first appearance of Superman in a live-action film. And today we're going to talk about the sequel to that, Adam Mann versus Superman from 1950. This is a Columbia serial series that appeared before movies back in 1950, little 15 to 20-minute segments that played over 15 chapters. And you would go to the movie theater and see this back in 1950. I actually have a poster of this in the When It Was Cool studio, but yet I'd never seen it till now. I'd never watched it. I just thought it was a cool poster to have, a cool retro poster of Superman from back in 1950. This predates the TV show. And not the 1948 Superman show. If you haven't read that article or listened to that podcast yet, I encourage you to do so because it was pretty good. I had a few problems with it, but as you can imagine, it's a low budget deal aimed primarily at kids, but it was one of the better serialized adventures I've seen so far. I had a lot of fun watching it. It was never boring, and it was always fun. Plenty of action, plenty of Superman in there. The villain was pretty weak in that one, but boy, the villain wasn't weak in this one. This one had a great villain, and the serial, this one wasn't as good as Superman. All right, I'll just go ahead and say that outright, because it seemed to be done on even less of a budget. They reused a lot of clips from the first series, which you got to remember, these were not on VHS or DVD or certainly not on the internet back in 1948, 1950. The only opportunity you ever had to see these was to go to the movie theater. So there was a very strong likelihood that most of the people watching Adam Mann versus Superman never saw the original one. That was 2 years earlier. And they would have had to have seen every single installment. That was unlikely to have happened in 1948. Had to get in 1950. So it was fine. But now here in 2018, watching them back to back, they reused a lot of scenes. In fact, the entire Superman origin scene, I would say it was like 60% completely reused from the first one. Well, this time with the villain telling the story. He was the narrator of this segment where he's explaining to a henchman, where Superman come from, what his origin was, and so they just but hey, that was really one of the best parts of the first movie. That whole Superman origin story was wonderful. I think you can watch most of these on YouTube. I got them on DVD for cheap, like both off Amazon. I think both the serials so that's like 30 parts was under $20, and it was worth it. It was good. Good set, nice presentation in the set, and I think it's something that a few years down the road I'd probably watch some of these again. In fact, I'm sure of it. Now, you may be saying, who is Adam Mann? Okay, so Adam, the Superman 1948 had an original villainess, the Spider Lady. Adam Mann is not an original character here. He is actually the secret identity of the main villain, Lex Luthor. So, yes, this is Lex Luthor's first appearance in a Superman movie, and I have to tell you, I got to be straight up honest with you. I watched the 1970s Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, all those parts, even the bad ones. Watched all those. I've seen every Superman movie. This Lex Luthor, far and away, the best one. Like, it ain't even a contest. Lyle Talbot plays Lex Luthor. He is fantastic. This dude, I wish they could bottle him and bring him to the present day, because he was Lex Luthor. I mean, he was exactly what you would think of Lex Luthor in the comics. Bald-headed, intelligent, a super scientist, schemer. He was not portrayed as crazy or silly or dumb or comedic like all the other Lex Luthors it seems to have been. This dude meant business, and he was an excellent villain, by far the best actor in this. And we've previously seen Lyle Talbot. He was in one of the other serials I watched. Was it Adventures of... No, it was in Batman and Robin. He played Commissioner Gordon in the 1949 Batman and Robin serial. So if you've watched that and remember that when we reviewed it, well, he's back again, and so does a wonderful job. Now, he is also the Adam Man, and the Adam Man is the worst part of this because he is so dumb. He has this gigantic, glittery head thing that looks absolutely ridiculous. He is laugh out loud dumb looking. There is no reason I can figure out why he is Lex Luthor sometimes and the Adam Man other times. Now, early on, he's trying to portray himself as, I guess, this legit businessman scientist. But after a while, he just, halfway through this serialized adventure, he's just like, you know what? I ain't been Adam Man no more. I'm Lex Luthor. Ha, ha, ha. It's like they just quit even trying to have Adam Man. So that's really my only complaint with this. The cast from the last one is the cast in this one. Kirk Allen returns as Clark Kent and Superman. He is perfectly fine. Again, he's a little too hyuk gee whiz kind of thing. I mean, he's a little too silly. He reminds me a little bit, if you're a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, he actually reminds me of Gomer Pyle as far as his looks, his acting and stuff. He's a more athletic, more serious Gomer Pyle. And so I think that as Clark Kent, that's fine. But as Superman, it's not, and here's another funny thing in this one. About halfway through the thing, they're all like, it's kind of like Lois and Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, who again is played by Tommy Bond, who does he's one of the best characters in here, and Perry White, who's excellent again. This Perry White is a tremendous actor. He's played by Pierre Watkin, and he does a best incarnation of Perry White still to this date. They're all kind of like hanging around the Daily Planet offices, and Clark's out or something. I don't remember. But anyway, essentially they're all hanging around, and they're all kind of like going, you guys know Clark's Superman, right? And they're all kind of looking at each other going like, yeah, Clark's Superman. I mean, we all know this, right? And, they're kind of like, it's a definite wink and a nod to the fact that Superman's been, it's obvious who he is. And I thought that was great. I thought they just, they never actually came out and like confronted it. And by the way, one thing I've been meaning to mention, I meant to mention it last episode. I mentioned this one. In these old serials, there's no romantic connection between Lois and Clark. They're not, she's not gaga over him or nothing. That's really, there's no romance in this at all. There's no, none of that. This is straight up just, adventure series. All the drama and stuff really, as far as romantic drama, never really even hinted at. But I thought it was kind of funny where they were just like, yeah, Clark, probably Superman. So, of course, they do a few things to, where Superman's kind of like, well, see, there's a Clark over there doing that thing. And then he runs over there, but, and it's you can kind of tell that they're all like, whatever, Clark. So I thought that was good. Now, this also introduces a great plot element of the Phantom Zone. And they don't call it that, but in this serialized adventure, Superman's in the Phantom Zone for a while. And it's actually pretty cool the way they do it. He's sort of halfway between tangibly here on Earth and yet intangible. And the way they do it, I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, again, by 2018 standards, it's not perfect, but if you transport yourself back to 1950, this is way better than you would expect it would be. And again, the flying sequences are animated, although in this one, they do a few more shots of actually Kirk Allen flying, like still shots of that, than they do of in the previous one. So it's a little less jarring this time, I think, than the time before. Let's just go through the little write up of what this is, and we'll comment as needed, because that's pretty much the bulk of my opinion of it. It's good. Go see it or get it. It's well worth watching. Adam Mann versus Superman 1950 was Columbia's 43rd serial and second live-action Superman screen appearance, both featuring Kirk Allen as Superman, and it finds Lex Luthor, played by Lyle Talbot, secretly the Adam Man, blackmailing the city of Metropolis by threatening to destroy the entire community. Perry White, played by Pierre Watkin, editor of the Daily Planet, assigns Lois Lane, again reprised by Noel Nile. Jimmy Olsen, again reprised by Tommy Bond, and does an excellent job, and Clark Kent to cover the story. The plot, and they summarize it really in a paragraph. Lex Luthor, the Atom Man, invents a number of deadly devices to plague the city, including a disintegration machine which can reduce people to their basic atoms and reassemble them in another place. But Superman manages to thwart each scheme. Since kryptonite can rob Superman of his powers, Lex Luthor decides to create synthetic kryptonite and goes about obtaining the necessary ingredients: plutonium, radium, and the undefined, etc. Luthor places kryptonite at the launching of a ship with Superman in attendance. He is exposed to the kryptonite and passes out. Superman is taken off in an ambulance driven by Luthor's henchmen and is now under the control of Luthor. Superman is placed in a device, a lever is pulled, and the Man of Steel vanishes into, quote, the empty doom, which is a version of the Phantom Zone. And actually, there's a lot more. That's a real simplified. Each serialized chapter has its own kind of little plot and subplot. By the end, they've got a spaceship involved, and he's a heat ray, and it's basically Lex Luthor creating gadgets all the time to try to beat Superman and to extort power, control, and money out of Metropolis. It's fine, perfectly good adventure here. Lyle Talbot, who had previously starred as Commissioner Jim Gordon in the 1943 Columbia serial Batman and Robin, here portrays Lex Luthor and also Luthor's alter ego, Adam Mann. In his Adam Mann disguise, Talbot as Luthor utilizes a vaguely German accent and wears an ominous mask fashioned from a Metallurgian Man robot costume left over from 1945's The Monster and the Ape. Yeah, so they repurpose sets and costume elements and all that all the time in these old things. Despite their own screen personas, Talbot, Lex Luthor, who wore a rubber scalp to create the impression of baldness. Actually, you couldn't have told. He looked perfectly bald to me. I guess in old black and white, it blends in better. But they did a good job. He looks great. And also, Alan, Superman, spent much of their time when not shooting, exchanging recipes. Both actors shared an interest in cookery. I guess, was cookery a word? I thought, would it not be cooking? But anyway. Special effects. The final set piece shows Metropolis under attack by poorly animated flying saucers and a torpedo. Also, by the way, in the first, I actually thought this was great using these actual newsreel footage. The first episode, they use that famous footage of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, where that structural design and the wind caused it to collapse spectacularly. That famous footage of the bridge waving in the wind and finally collapsing. Well, it's used in the first Superman chapter here in Adam Mann versus Superman to simulate some ray beam thing that Luthor has, or the Adam Mann uses to cause earthquakes or whatever. So I thought it was pretty clever use of actual real world footage. And they used in one of the chapters like archival footage of flooding and a dam breaking, and I thought that was pretty good repurposed use of stuff. The flying effects were somewhat improved in this film than the original by the simple expedient of turning the camera on its side. Interesting. Kirk Allen stood with his arms raised in front of a cyclorama, while a wind machine and a smoke pot were placed above him out of frame. This gave an inexpensive illusion of flight. Longer shots continued to use the cartoon animation of the Man of Steel. In their book, The Great Movie Serials, Jim Harmon and Donald F. Glut described the serial as, quote, far more gimmickry and gadget-prone than the first Superman serial. And I would agree with that. It's definitely built all around the contraptions of Luthor. In addition to this, they also found it to be flawed by the same Katzman cheapness. And so, again, there were a lot of reused scenes and stuff like that. But I thought, for the audience, for who it was aimed at, if you weren't a movie critic, if you were just a kid going to it, this was fine. It's actually kind of fun. That's pretty much what they had to say about that. And that's pretty much what I got to say about it. I give Adam Mann versus Superman thumbs up. Yeah, go see it. Well worth checking out. Again, I certainly enjoyed it. And coming up, if you're listening to this in the archives, this part don't matter. Just go get whatever you want to listen to. But if you're listening to this in real time when it hits the Patreon feed in 2018, the next one I'm going to do is either one of the 19. I have these already here, so we'll do one of them. Either one of the 1970s Captain America movies, or one of the Legion of Superheroes. In fact, I probably will do, because I'm kind of wanting to watch them again. There were two Legion of Superheroes TV pilot features from the 1970s that actually had Adam West as Batman, Burt Ward as Robin, had Captain Marvel, Shazam in there. I don't think they had a Superman. I think they had an Aquaman. I don't remember. I don't remember who all they had. I had like Solomon Grundy and several of the Batman TV show villains. But they're doing they got Flash is in there, Green Lantern's in it. So, and they're terrible. I remember that. I remember they're very cheesy. But, hey, I think they're a fun kind of cheese. If I remember correctly, they're maybe kind of fun. One of them's done as like a game show format or something. I don't remember, but probably do one of those next, actually. So stick around for that. Check that out. If you're listening to this in the archives, go check it out now. And for the rest of you, look out for that next week. And as I continue to collect these up, we've got a ton of them to do, all kinds of fun laying ahead. But in the meantime, go check out, especially, and I don't think, unlike the two Batman serials, where you absolutely did not have to watch one to understand the other. They were completely different cast and everything. I would, in fact, watch these two Superman ones in order. I would watch Superman 1948 and then watch Adam Mann versus Superman 1950, because the same characters are in there. There is some degree of continuity. They're not necessitated on one another, but I think you'll get more out of Adam Mann versus Superman if you first watch Superman from 1948. And the set I bought from Amazon, they came packaged together. You got both the first 15 and the second 15, both serialized adventures. So I would consume it in that format. If you're watching it off YouTube or some other free source, I'd again recommend doing it in that order. If at all possible, if not, it's fine. It's no big deal. You can watch them however. All right, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for supporting WhenItWasCool.com. It has been a pleasure to have you here, and we hope we'll have you back next week where we do another fun superhero adventure story. I'm Karl. This is WhenItWasCool.com.
WhenItWasCool.com is your source for the best in retro pop culture. When It Was Cool features articles and podcasts on retro TV and movies, toys, action figures, pro wrestling, food, video games, and more. Hit the Patreon button to support us and get instant access to hundreds of premium podcasts and features. Family friendly and fun. WhenItWasCool.com.